You know, Halloween is the one night of the year we actually go looking for scares. We watch horror movies, we go to haunted houses, we tell ghost stories. But tonight, we're going to look at something a little different. We're diving into real accounts where that line between festive fun and genuine terror just completely disappeared. These are the stories of a night when the real monsters came out to play. Just imagine that for a second. That pure, unfiltered panic. That split second where you realize with absolute certainty that you and your child are in terrible, terrible danger inside your own home. Yeah, that's where we're starting. Right in the middle of the fear. And that really is the question we're asking here. I mean, think about it. The whole night is built on masks, on costumes, on a kind of friendly deception. It's a night where we literally open our doors to strangers. But what happens when that very foundation gets exploited for something much, much more sinister? So, our first story, it kicks off in what should be one of the safest places you can imagine. A party, packed with friends. It's a terrifying reminder that danger isn't always hiding in some dark alley. Sometimes it comes crashing right through your front door. Nick's party was, by all accounts, the place to be. But in the blink of an eye, it turns into a hostage situation. And the escalation was just brutally fast. 4 guys in masks storm in, the music cuts out, and they demand $100,000. And when Nick, who's just a college kid, obviously can't come up with that kind of cash, they turn their guns on the guests. The party becomes a scene of just unimaginable horror. And this was the result. 2. Just 2. 2 friends, Jen and Robbie, murdered in the middle of a Halloween party. It's such a small number, but the weight of it is just immense. All the fun, the costumes, the music, all of it was just gone, replaced by this stark, brutal reality. And for the people who survived, the horror didn't just end when the intruders walked out the door. This quote from one of Nick's friends shows just how deep that trauma went. Nick, the host, was just consumed by this incredible guilt. He fell into addiction, and less than a year later, he died from an overdose. So you see, the invasion didn't just take 2 lives that night. In the end, it really claimed a 3rd. So that first story, that's a full-on brute force violation of a safe space, right? But sometimes the threat is sneakier. Our next accounts look at how horror can slip right into our homes, starting with something as simple as a knock on the door or a phone call. And this is the key. Both of these stories start with everybody assuming it's just kids messing around. Ding-dong ditch, prank calls. And that's what makes it the perfect camouflage for something way, way more calculated and way more threatening. Okay, so look at how this plays out. What's so chilling here is how methodical it is. It's not random. It starts with these unsettling silent calls. Then comes a direct threat. Then they take physical action, cutting the power to make the house dark and isolated. And finally, the assault on the door. This is a deliberate psychological attack designed for one thing, to create as much fear as possible. But, and this is where it gets really weird, here's the twist. The teen finally opens the door, and it's his friend, Steven, just laughing. He was the one pounding on the door. But when the kid confronts him, Steven has no idea what he's talking about. He didn't make a threatening call, he didn't cut the power, which means there was someone else. A totally unknown 3rd person who made the real threat and who actually cut the wires. A real predator, just using a kid's dumb prank as a terrifying cover. Okay, that brings us to our next story in this section. And this quote, wow. Can you just imagine that feeling? That horrifying realization that the sound you thought was safely outside is now inside with you, right outside your bedroom door. The boundary's already gone. They're already inside.
But here's the thing, this homeowner is a quick thinker. He doesn't have a weapon, so he grabs his phone, pulls up a gunshot sound effect on YouTube, cranks the volume, and just blasts it through his speakers. Then he yells something like, "That was a warning shot." And you know what? It actually works. The intruders just bolt. A totally modern problem with a brilliantly modern solution.
So, okay, we've seen how a home can be violated. Now we're going to head outside, into that chaos of trick-or-treating where the night itself provides the perfect cover for predators to become hunters in the dark. And when you look at these stories from the outside, you start to see this really clear, disturbing pattern of how these predators operate. They're using the very traditions of Halloween against us. Masks hide who they are, the crowds give them cover, The promise of candy becomes a lure. They watch from a distance, they follow, and then they make their move. And this quote right here, this is from a story about two 11-year-old friends being followed by some guys in a Jeep. This is that moment the threat becomes crystal clear. It's an offer that would be a massive red flag on any other night, but on Halloween, it's just disguised enough to be part of the whole celebration. And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? They're weaponizing a tradition of trust. The simple act of giving out candy, the one thing every kid is looking for on Halloween, gets twisted into bait for a kidnapping. It's a horrifyingly effective strategy. And you'd think, okay, a place where you literally pay to be scared should be safe, right? Well, not always. A group of friends goes to a haunted house. They're getting chased by actors, they're in a maze, it's all part of the show. But then, after they leave, they realize one of the actors, this guy in a really bloody pig mask, is following them. And he doesn't stop. He follows them for 5 whole blocks. And this is the part that'll give you chills. They contact the haunted house, and the staff tells them they don't have an employee in a pig mask costume. So that guy wasn't an actor, he wasn't part of the show, he was just some random predator who used the haunted house as his own personal hunting ground to pick out his victims. So after all that, what's the takeaway? When you pull all of these stories together, the party, the home intrusions, the predators on the street, one single terrifying idea starts to form. Because the true horror in every single one of these stories, it's not ghosts, it's not demons, it's nothing supernatural. It's the cold, calculated, very real evil that people can do to each other. People who see a night of community and celebration and just see an opportunity. And this last example, honestly, this might be the most disturbing one of all. A dad hears a noise in his little daughter's closet. He opens the door, probably expecting nothing, and he finds his neighbor's teenage son, Randy, just hiding inside. The monster wasn't some stranger in a mask. It was the kid from right next door. So the pattern is pretty clear, right? We see safe spaces, like our own homes and parties, being violated. We see cherished Halloween traditions being twisted and used as weapons. We see predators hiding in plain sight, disguised as partygoers, pranksters, or even neighbors. And the one thing that connects them all, the threat is always, always human.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really unsettling question to think about. Halloween is the one night of the year that we celebrate not knowing who's behind the mask. So when real predators are using that very tradition as their shield, how are you supposed to spot the real